Hi, my name is Sarah Robertson and I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. Here are some of the highlights of the things that we've been working on in the month of June. The Youth Club reopened after a 15-month closure due to COVID-19 on June 18th. Youth in 4th through 12th grade are welcome to come to the club on Friday and Saturday nights from 6:30 to 10 p.m. T-ball for 5 and 6-year-olds started on June 23rd. This program will last for 6 weeks. The summer park program at Perry Field will begin on July 5th and will run for 6 weeks, Monday through Thursday from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. Free lunch will be served for youth under the age of 18 each day that the program runs. We'd like to thank the Friends of Crescent Beach, along with many other volunteers that helped make the 25th anniversary of the Boardwalk a wonderful event. The garbage cans and recycling bins that were funded with donations for the Boardwalk have been put out. We'd like to thank the Algoma Area Chamber Board and their director for the help in cleaning and painting the Heritage Pavilion to get it ready for concerts in the park. The concerts will be held on Thursday nights starting on July 1st and run for 8 weeks. The Parks Committee and Public Works Committee discussed implementing launch fees for boats at Olson Park in their prospective meetings. Their recommendation will go before the council and be discussed at future meetings. There will be 7 dead ash and soft maple trees taken out of Newman Park this summer. And we have started a fundraising campaign to install a shaded picnic area in front of the youth club. If you are interested in helping with this project, please call the Parks and Recreation Department. The next meeting will take place on July 19th at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Algoma Youth Club. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fire Chief Tom Ackerman, and the following are the notes from the Protection of Persons and Property meeting held on June 28th, 2021. The following information is going to be for both the months of May and June. The Algoma Fire Department responded to 7 calls since the last report, which puts us at 18 runs per year. Our annual hose testing has been completed and we experienced minimal failures, which is good. Our engine 610 was out of service in June for engine problems and recall work involving the emission system of that truck. Repairs have been made and the unit is back in service. Algoma Fire and Rescue participated in active shooter training on Wednesday, June 16th, along with personnel from the Algoma Police Department and the Kewaunee County Sheriff's Department. Because of Algoma Fire and Rescue's Association's continuing fundraising efforts, 2 new imaging cameras were purchased and donated to the fire department. Both units are in service and working well. Probationary members Clayton Parle and Bryce Durst have successfully completed their entry-level firefighter training, and this training is provided through NWTC, and this is a state-funded course, so there's no expense to the department. Michael Gores and Stephen Petrie have successfully completed their probationary period with the department and now are considered regular firefighters. Mike Mertens, Corey Nell, and Trent Delord have resigned from the Algoma Fire Department, and we thank them for their years of service. Algoma Rescue has responded to 38 calls in the month of May and 38 calls in the month of June, putting them at 211 calls year to date. We have a member that is out with a back injury due to lifting a patient, and we are discussing proper lifting techniques and the availability of the fire department for lift assists to be made available whenever needed. The state of Wisconsin has implemented new protocols and equipment requirements, and our staff has been trained on them and are using them. Algoma Rescue, along with Algoma Fire, continue to have staffing issues, so if there's anybody interested in joining our organization, please contact us, and we'll return that call and get you the necessary information. Ambulance 604 Replacement Committee has been formed and is meeting with demonstrator ambulances. We have looked at 2 demonstrators so far. We have a 3rd coming in early July. And that concludes this report.
The Algoma Public Library Board of Trustees met on June 21st. The Library Friends used bookstore The Book Corner is now open on Fridays and Saturdays from 11 to 3 p.m. Any book donations can be brought directly there during their open hours. The Library Friends have graciously offered to fund new carpeting for our program room and staff workroom, New paint for the program room will also be covered. We would like to give a big thanks to all of them for their dedication to the library. The library will be closed on Monday, July 5th, in observance of Independence Day. As far as programming, we continue to offer many virtual programs and take-home kits for all ages. Just to name a few, our summer reading program began on June 7th. There's still time to sign up in the library or go to our website and you can sign up there. Our program ends July 22nd. On July 6th, we have a Make a Kite kit for children and an owl book folding kit for adults. July 8th, bubble art kit for teens. July 12th, mermaid kit for children. July 14th, fairy and gnome jar kits for adults. July 19th, animal tales kits for children. On July 23rd, we will be hosting our annual outdoor movie at Legion Park. We will be showing Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon. We invite everyone to bring your lawn chairs, blankets, and snacks and join us for a fun, family-friendly evening at the movies. This event is free and sponsored by the Community Development Committee and the Algoma Public Library. Movie will start at dusk or about 8:15 or 8:30. More information on these programs and more can be found on our website and our Facebook page. The microfilm for the newspaper digitization project was returned to the library from Northern Micrographics along with a portable hard drive containing the data. We are copying the data onto a couple of extra external hard drives. The next step will be to get the hard drive to the Algoma High School and on the host server there. Once completed, patrons will have digital access to Algoma newspapers through 1982. I presented the board with a first look at our 2022 library budget. We will look at it further at next month's meeting. This concludes my report for today. Our next board meeting will be held on July 19th at 4 p.m.
Good morning. I'm Matt Murphy, the Public Works Director for the City of Algoma. In the month of June, we had met down at the wastewater treatment facility and discussed trailer parking for boat trailers down at Olson Park. If you are not a seasonal slip holder or a transient slip renter from the City of Algoma, your boat trailer will not be allowed to park down at Olson Park. You will have to find different means of parking your boat. We discussed setting up a launch pass for Olson Park for boats. Non-motorized boats will not have to pay for that launch fee, but it would be for motorized boats that launch at Olson Park. There will be a launch fee that we will start to assess with the envelope system, just like we do down at the Algoma Public Marina. That will probably start to take effect later this summer when we get that facilitated down there. So, the 6th Street construction project from Fremont to Jefferson Street is about the infrastructure digging. All of the sanitary sewer is in, about 90% of the storm, and the water will be wrapped up, I believe, the Tuesday following the 4th of July holiday. They will be done with all the digging, and immediately that following week, the second week of July, they will start to rebuild that surface of the road, and concrete curb and sidewalk will start to go in. So everything is on track with that. Everything seems to be going very well. And as things progress, we'll start to get some dates on when asphalt will start to go on that road. We're still not sure into August, getting closer to Shanty Days, if that will be ready and opened and blacktopped. If it won't be, we will have that whole intersection of Fremont and 6th Street that it will be usable, passable for the Shanty Days holiday. That will get that opened all the way back up. That people will be able to travel through there. The parade route won't change. It'll come right down through there, just like always. So that's where we are with that. We also, after our meeting down at the wastewater facility, everybody that wanted to stay was given a tour through the wastewater treatment facility for a couple of the new council members and anybody that is on the Public Works Committee that wanted a tour of the wastewater facility. They were welcome to go through and look at that. So thank you, Jeff Hoffman with Suez, for providing that tour. Fantastic job. Thank you for that. And our next Public Works meeting will be on July 20th at 8:30 a.m. back here at City Hall. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Randy Urmick at the Algoma Police Department to give the report for the past June of 2021. Speed trailer is currently set up at North Lake Street and Vernon Street, so that'll be there for the next 2 weeks. If you have any ideas where you would like to see that move to, please contact us at the Algoma Police Department. In other news, we are currently doing background checks on some part-time personnel, so if everything goes well and with approval of City Council in the mid part of July, you will see additional police officers going through training within the city. So that's great news for the city and, of course, for us. Additionally, we want to remind everyone code enforcement is still out and about, so make sure you're cutting your grass and removing your garbage so you don't get one of those nasty letters in the mail. Additionally, for statistics for the department, calls of service for last month of May were a total of 141 compared to last year, which is 135. And year to date for this year, we're at 556 compared to last year at 575. As always, we ask everybody to be careful for pedestrian traffic and foot traffic during this time of year because of the beach and all the tourism within town. And if you have any issues or complaints, please contact us here at the Algoma Police Department. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jean Marsh, Administrator at Algoma Medical Center and Long-Term Care. We held the June meeting of the Algoma Long-Term Care Board of Directors last Thursday, June 24th. The board had no old business to consider, but we did have several new items on the agenda for business to be considered. The first one was our cybersecurity. This is an important consideration for businesses and government entities. Algoma Long-Term Care is required under federal regulations to create a cybersecurity disaster plan that considers the risks and how we respond to this type of intrusion. Our backup system needed a replacement, so our board of directors approved a new backup system that includes an encryption service for added protection. In further action, our board approved a 3% across-the-board pay increase to all eligible employees. We waited until our census started recovering from the pandemic before asking our board to consider this request. In the past month, we had 15 new admissions to our facility. Like most elder care facilities, nursing homes have really struggled through the COVID-19 pandemic. The federal government has helped us with provider relief funds to deal with all of the testing and screening that we need to do to keep our residents safe from COVID-19. One big concern has been the acceptance of COVID-19 vaccines among some of our staff and the Kiwani community in general. Each week, we are required to report to the federal government who on our staff is vaccinated and what efforts we are taking to educate our staff and to obtain vaccines for our unvaccinated staff. Throughout the pandemic, we have remained committed to putting the health and safety of our residents and staff first. This is and always will be our top priority. The COVID vaccine is a critical tool in helping end this pandemic. We are grateful to our staff who have accepted the COVID-19 vaccine to optimize their well-being as well as the residents of our facility. Our board approved a $250 bonus to all staff who have been fully vaccinated. This concludes my report of our board meeting on June 24th, 2021. Thank you.
Okay. The City Council held their regular meeting on Monday, June 7th at 6 p.m. During the meeting, we had public comment, a couple different public comments. First, we had Ben Nelson, who is the new executive director for the Kiwani County Economic Development Corporation, was here and just gave a presentation, a little bit of his background and what he's looking to accomplish and bring to the table for the KCEDC and what that'll do for Algoma. And then we also had a letter read that was provided to the mayor from Lois Lehman. She's a resident and she wanted to just express her gratitude to the Public Works Department and the Algoma High School for a coordinated effort that takes place every year where our Public Works Director goes and meets with the school and the students and takes them on a bit of a field trip and explains how stormwater works, where the drains are, where they go, and the impacts of that. So that was good to hear that there's positive feedback on that. Old business. the public safety building, there was a motion made to proceed with Bayland Building to continue as our general contractor for the public safety building, and the mayor made a point too, and I want to clarify here that this is not moving forward with constructing the building. This is strictly moving forward in the process of designing the building as far as the concept goes, so that we can bring a very reasonable and generally accurate concept to referendum. So we have a pretty specified cost range and concept for that. So we will be working with Bayland Building on that moving forward. There was a proclamation from the mayor establishing the week of June 13th through June 19th as Fair Housing Week in the city of Algoma for the year 2021. There was also a resolution authorizing the purchase of a new server, which was desperately needed here at City Hall. We've been having a number of IT issues that this new server will help address, kind of get us caught up to date there. There was discussion on a proposed services agreement with GWB Professional Services. That's a consultant we've worked with previously for economic development and redevelopment projects. It was on there for approval. There were a couple of questions, though, and some language in the agreement. Nothing too significant, but still wanted to clean that up a little bit and change the wording, which was approved at a later meeting, which I will cover later. There was also the Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan was adopted. So that just provides a very broad and wide-ranging plan, a comprehensive plan for our parks and recreation programs and facilities and looking to the future. There was a resolution authorizing me as the administrator to enter into an agreement with Scott Construction, Inc. For seal coating, or basically chip sealing, parts of Church and Fremont Street. These are by no means permanent solutions to those roads. They are meant to provide a suitable repair to those roads that'll last about 5 to 8 years, because currently those roads are not in our 5-year capital improvement plan, and so we want to we recognize the strong need to address those roads, and so we'll be chip sealing those to get another 5 to 8 years out of them. It'll be a very cost-effective solution for the time being. We also approved the annual CMAR, which is the Comprehensive Maintenance Annual Report for the city, which is referring to our wastewater treatment plant as a permit holder with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources as a pollutant discharger in the wastewater. We need to do that every year, so that was just approving that. And then there was also a donation from for Christmas Tree Ship Point. There's a sculpture that is being donated on behalf of Chris and Bruce Steinhagen, and is being manufactured by Sean Olson of Olson Fabrication. And so that will be located at Christmas Tree Point, and we just wanted to express our gratitude to all those parties for that. Lighthouse lease is back again, and this was finally approved for me to enter into an agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers for a 25-year lease to rent the North Pier Head. And so the next step will be actually working with the Coast Guard and the General Services Administration of the federal government to transfer ownership of the Pier Head Light to the city. So we'll have 2 separate agreements, but in order to actually transfer the ownership, we needed to first lease the pier itself from the Army Corps of Engineers. Then we discussed a little bit using proceeds from the sale of the 2nd Street parcel. Bayshore Outfitters is a business that recently located here, and as part of their move here, they purchased a parcel of land that the city owned right across the 2nd Street Bridge on the north side of town. They are now, they purchased that parcel, and there was discussion about how to use the proceeds, but that was tabled to a later meeting to discuss, which I will cover later. And then there was discussion on ending the use of Zoom for the city council and committee meetings as we're all trying to get back to normal. Part of that was eliminating the use of Zoom with a few very narrow exceptions. And this would apply to the city council, finance and personnel committee, and other city committees. Certain boards and other entities, they still have their own discretion as to how they want to use it, but really it was will only be allowed to be used for vendors or contractors that we might have who would otherwise incur a cost to the city for travel here and time. So an example would be, as I mentioned before, GWB Professional Services. Gary Becker, we're able to save quite a bit of money on our agreement with him by allowing him to remotely participate. But at the same time, we want to get back to quote unquote normal for our committee members and our staff. And so moving forward, Zoom will not be available for those meetings. Went over my report. I provided an update on the redevelopment area, number 2, which is again the block between the grocery store and Perry Park. Talked about the community development banners that will be going into place and the contractor there who's been reaching out to our businesses. And ultimately our goal is to have these All-America City Award winner banners in place prior to Shanty Days. And we still appear to be on track for that. Then we just, the clerk provided a brief overview of the liquor licensing and operator licensing permit process. The mayor pointed out a few events that have since taken place. The car show, the Crescent Beach Boardwalk celebration, and the Violence Intervention Project Smokehouse Jamboree. Again, those have all since taken place. And the Algoma area rummage sale will be held on July 9th and 10th. And the next regular meeting for the City Council is Monday, July 5th at 6 p.m. Okay, the Finance and Personnel Committee met on Tuesday, June 15th at 4:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Really short agenda. Really all that was on there was a continued discussion on the use of the proceeds from the 2nd Street parcel sale. Again, this is in relation to the sale of the parcel that the city previously owned, located on the north side of the Anape River, right off of the 2nd Street Bridge there, right as you cross the river. So there was discussion on what to do with the proceeds from that sale. Ultimately, the decision was made to put, because I had requested that we put aside some money for the lighthouse, the Pierhead Light maintenance and repair, should it be needed once we take ownership of that in the near future. I thought it'd be good to get a jump start on that, so I requested we put some monies aside for that. Ultimately, it was decided to put $25,000 of the proceeds into the Marina Fund earmarked for the maintenance and repair, if needed, of the Pierhead Light, and the balance of it in the amount of $14,332.50 would be transferred to the Redevelopment Authority for their purposes with the redevelopment project. And that was passed unanimously. And then we just had a brief discussion on the 2022 operations budget and the 2022 through 2026 CIP timeline and process, and I outlined what I had envisioned as that process as far as when we would involve the council and the Finance and Personnel Committee. And the feedback we received was to make very minor changes to our process as far as the council is concerned, but we will be having a workshop with them, meaning staff and the Finance and Personnel Committee in late September, where we will be presenting our draft budget with them and then making any draft changes to that prior to the public hearing, which we are hoping to have in October. So the next meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee will be Tuesday, July 20th at 4:30 p.m. here at City Hall. The Common Council had a special meeting on Tuesday, June 15th, immediately following the Finance and Personnel Committee on the same day. On there was a resolution entering into an agreement with Gary Becker, GWB Professional Services, to help provide consulting services for our redevelopment area number 2 project, which is continuing to move forward. Again, that's the block between the grocery store and the and Perry Park. And so that was discussed a little bit more. There were some language changes from the initial agreement that was presented at the regular council meeting earlier in the month. And ultimately it was approved unanimously 8-0. There was also a resolution authorizing an agreement for secondary digester condition assessment services with Strand Associates. Very straightforward. Need to perform this service regarding our wastewater treatment plant. And then there was just a brief memo that was gone over by the clerk for the benefit of the council, going over the process we have for liquor license renewals and which ones are going to be renewed starting July 1st, so July 1st, 2021 through June 30th of 2022. And the next regular council meeting will be Monday, July 5th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. The Redevelopment Authority met on Tuesday, June 8th at 6 p.m. Here at the council chambers of City Hall. It was a very pretty brief meeting. I just provided an update on the CDBG Public Facility Grant application process. Basically, we'll be expecting the results of that either late July or early August. And that will really help inform our decision moving forward with that project as far as what monies we will have available to us through that program. Then we went into closed session to talk about the next steps in the process as far as contacting property owners and starting to make offers. And so because I was in closed session, I can't get into any detail about that, but I had a pretty lengthy discussion there. But ultimately, again, I can't comment on that. What was said in there. And the next meeting date will be Tuesday, July 13th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall, if in fact the Redevelopment Authority needs to meet. The Community Development Committee met on Monday, June 21st at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers at City Hall. There was discussion on quite a few things. Under old business, there was discussion on a continued discussion on the creation of an economic development packet, including just discussion as to who would this be marketed towards, how would we distribute it, would it be tailored towards businesses or also businesses and residents? Would we get, would the chamber distribute them? Would the city distribute them? So there's pretty good discussion on that. There was also consideration of a grant application from the Algoma Public Library for their Movie in the Park program. There was a pretty lengthy discussion on that. Ultimately, it was approved for their fully requested amount. And following the event, the library director will be at the community development meeting following the event to kind of give some feedback on how the event went, the success of it, and just talk about the need for the grant to continue that. There was a brief review of a slip, more or less, that we would be using for these grant applications. So right now, we require for our accounting purposes that anyone who receives these grants essentially has to invoice the city. And so one of the committee members and our treasurer worked together and created this a form basically to take the place of that, them needing to invoice us, because that was kind of a bit of a challenge for the grant recipients. They weren't exactly sure what to do, so we just made a form for them to use to kind of speed or streamline that process, make it simpler for all the parties involved. There was a pretty lengthy discussion on blight reduction grant projects, and it was a very broad discussion on that as far as different ideas to address some of the blight and to a larger extent, how do we address housing in the city of Algoma here. And so again, it was a pretty lengthy discussion, a lot of ideas floated out there, and it will be on future agendas. And then there was discussion as well on the council's decision to eliminate Zoom. This meeting was in person. And there was some concern expressed by the committee members on that, but ultimately, they'll abide the decision of the council, although they did wish to express their disappointment in that decision at this time to get rid of Zoom and require face-to-face meetings. And then under the administrator's report, I actually did not have a substantial update from the previous CDC meeting. And so the meeting was adjourned shortly after that. And the next meeting will be on Monday, July 19th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. The Algoma Utility Commission met on Wednesday, June 16th at 5:30 p.m. Let's see. The meeting was called to order, and all members except for one were present. There was no plan commission update for the utility. There was a brief discussion regarding electric vehicle charging stations, and it will be continued to be on future meeting agendas. And I know that the staff there are working on that and meeting with potential vendors for that to look at, what can we be doing as far as installing those throughout the city, which I think would be really good and forward-looking, a good investment for us. There was some discussion on the American Transmission Company voluntary investment. So the utility received notification that there would not be an ATC, again, American Transmission Company, capital investment request for the third quarter of 2021. ATC has determined it requires up to $25 million in additional equity capital funding in the year 2021, and that would be to be requested in future installments. I would encourage anyone, if they have questions about that, to contact the utility directly. There was discussion on award of a WPPI Energy Community Contribution and Economic Development Funds. There were written requests for the WPPI, which is Wisconsin Public Power, Inc. Energy. Community contributions and economic development funds were reviewed. There would be $650 would go to the City of Algoma Parks and Rec Department for a new pavilion and picnic area along the waterfront. $350 to the Friends of Crescent Beach for restoration project supplies. And then there would be $1,000 to the Violence Intervention Project for office and transitional living facility utility expenses. And then finally, $500 to the Algoma School District to expand the aquaponics unit. There was discussion on an annual 3% simplified water rate case application. So the utility submitted an application for a simplified rate case for a 3% increase to the PSC, the Public Service Commission. The PSC's historical check financially qualified Algoma Utilities to file the simplified rate case and has approved the pre-application. And the simplified rate case would increase the general water rates 3%. Simplified rate cases do not require a public hearing, and the new rates will be effective with usage after the October month end meter readings. They're a mouthful. And then just basic stuff here, approval of bills, financial reports. No discussion on concept expectations or goals, but that will continue to stay on the agenda. And then the manager's report and the office manager's report were reviewed. If you want to see those, you could go to the website and look at those reports. And then the meeting was adjourned at 6:10, and the next meeting will be held on Wednesday, July 21st at 5:30 p.m. That meeting will occur back at the normal location of the utility offices on Flora Avenue. The meetings had been held here at City Hall previously to accommodate the need to spread out a little bit more because that space is not available at the utility location. So all the future meetings will now be held once again at the utility office on Flora Avenue. And again, that meeting will be on Wednesday, July 21st at 5:30 p.m.